All right, guys, we're gonna try this for the fourth time. Um, First, the obstruction wasn't hit in replays. Then, trading paints is garbage. So the scheme wasn't loading. So we're gonna try something a little different this week. I started doing formula races. I think I've only got like 40 formula races under my belt so far, but I wanted to do a lap guide for people like myself who are still learning how to drive the formula cars. The time I'm going to be the reference lap here is only half a second off from the fastest time in Garage 61. So, and it's the fastest lap time I've seen in any of the practice sessions this week so far. So I feel like you should be pretty competitive if you can replicate this. So we're going to go into turn one here. Go ahead and get started. So for turn one, I like to brake a little after halfway between 3 and 2. So you can see about here. Peak brake pressure is going to be 92%. You can see we're going to start trailing off. As soon as we finish trailing off the brake, we're going to be right back on the throttle. Sorry, as far as gears, you're going to take turn one in second. So as soon as you get on the brakes, before you even get peak pressure, you're down to fifth, fourth before fourth before you get to this last cone, third, and then second right before the curbing. And you can see right there, I'm hitting just a little bit of throttle early on to counter the oversteer. Then you're going to bring it over to the inside. So going into two, once I get about halfway between this access road and this one, we're going to do a full lift and we're going to brake up to about 15% and immediately trail off. We're going to take that in fifth gear. I feel like the important thing here is to make sure you're using all the grip by turning your wheel. You see there, right there is about the furthest point on my steering. So you want to try to get your left tires over here as close to the curbing as possible. I try not to hit the curbing because it seems to want to push the car over into the gravel. So right here going into four, you want to take this full throttle, but there's a certain way you have to go about it. You have to turn in a little bit early to where you're kind of aiming for this curbing on the inside. And you can see here how I do it. So I start turning early, just slightly, and then more and more. And it's basically going to allow me to stay over to the right side, because if you wait too late here, you're going to be really scrubbing the fronts trying to get the car over to the right side. So this is the best way to do it without lifting. And you can still hear the front scrubbing there. So turn in, I start my turn in. There's not a lot of references here. You've got this little tire mark here. So once you pass where that tire mark starts, it's when you start your turn in just slightly and then just progressively bring it over to the right. As soon as this is really right here where it turns, where the grass fades is normally my braking reference, but here I braked a little early. So you could say really as soon as you get past the curbing here, you can, and straight, as soon as you get the car straight, you want to make sure you're straight first. So you can see there, get the car straight, straighten the wheel, and then we're on the brakes. Peak pressure, it's going to be 80, and then we're immediately trailing down. And we're using that engine brake, and as soon as I'm braking, I'm shifting down to fourth, third, second. You can see once again we're progressive with the steering wheel. You want that initial turn in just to be almost indistinguishable. You know, you almost shouldn't be able to tell where you start turning in at. So you can see there just a little bit, a little more. And you can see I'm getting all my turning, all my steering done before the apex. That's important because if you try to add steering after the apex, you're just going to spin the car out. So you see here, we still got a 7% brake. And then as soon as I get off the brakes, we're up to about 40 and then 75. So that, like I said earlier, if the car, when you trail off the brakes, there's a couple of different ways you're going to counter oversteer. One is by dropping the brakes faster with these high downforce cars. And then the second way is by adding just a little bit of maintenance throttle, just, 10, 15%. For me though, you can see there, I went straight to, right there. I mean, that was just a little bit, what, 1 or 2%. Then I'm up to 41. And you want to make sure that you're on throttle right before the apex. And once I get it straightened out, I'm up to 100, second gear. Then as soon as we get the car straightened out, a little stab, 37, right here where the split in the tires is. So 37, then I'm immediately, you almost can't even see 37 because I'm trailing so fast. And as soon as you hit that, you're shifting down to second again. You see the steering is progressive once again. Start out slow, and then before the apex, we're, hard lock, and we're right back on the throttle again. I'm holding about 60% throttle until I get the car straightened out, and then we're 100. So this is all going to be full throttle. So just making sure you get over to the left and get a good arc into 7. You don't want to be fighting the car through here. You want to be as smooth on the steering through this section as you can to scrub off as little speed as possible. So this here, 9 is going to be full speed as well, full throttle. And it's going to be the same thing where you're going to turn in early, just more and more, bring it over to just to the left of the curb. And I feel like when I aim to cut in there early, like I did there, the car it seems like once I get it in close to the curb here, it just kind of takes care of itself. Then bring it out wide here. You fight the car as little as possible. So for 10, as soon as I pass this, well, not even past it really. As soon as I get about the midway point of this access road, we're up to 25% brake, and then immediately we're trailing off. And then as soon as we're done trailing off, we're up to 50%. And then all the way up to 100 through it. Make sure if you're not using, when you're coming off 10 here, if you're not ending up over here and using all the track limits, you're not carrying enough speed. So you can see there, my minimum speed is 113. So you shouldn't be going any slower than that. 112, 113. All right, now we'll play the lap all the way through. Make sure you pay attention to the minimum speed in each corner, the lowest speed I hit for each corner. That's always really important. All right, there you have it, guys. It's going to be a 108.735. If you have any questions or any issues, just leave a comment and I'll do my best to help you. Um, Today, earlier, my fastest time was like a 1010 something. And you can see here I've shaved almost basically 2 seconds by implementing these different things I'm telling you. Um, Making sure you're using the steering to by turning this, making sure you're turning the steering wheel all the way. You're using all the grip, so the steering is what's gonna determine the amount of grip you have, right? And the pedals are gonna determine the car's balance. So you know you a big problem a lot of people have in this car is they're so used to low downforce cars that they're braking too much and they're staying on the brakes too long and they're putting too much weight on the front tires and it's causing them to spin out. So that's why you see me getting onto the throttle early and going up to like 40% and then straight to 100. It's because I'm transferring that weight back to the rear tires early. And you've got the wing on the front of this car, which is like basically extra braking power for the car. It's extra downforce. So you have to account for that. And it helps you if you, as long as you're trailing off your braking right and you're using the throttle and the brake by trailing off the brake faster and getting on that little bit of throttle to counter the oversteer. But if you get on the throttle too hard and too early, it's gonna, rather than countering the oversteer, it's going to cause you to understeer. So you really have to find that balance. But anyhow, thanks for watching. If this helped, all I ask is just a quick like on the video and a subscribe. I try to put out these guides every week for a multitude of different series, from ovals, road courses, and now formula. So thanks for watching. You guys have a good one.